Imagine having the title Mr. Irrelevant while playing Giants game after game and still beating them. Not only was Isaiah Thomas the last player picked in the NBA draft and a player in the NBA, but he was also a giant in spirit. He used an unmatched mix of skill, grit, and heart to become an all-star multiple times and one of the NBA's most beloved underdogs, including an MVP-caliber season and one of the most famous playoff performances in NBA history. Isaiah showed the world that size doesn't matter and that heart is more important than hype. Only a few players have showcased what it means to be successful in the NBA at his level. Most people didn't believe in him, but his heart and unwavering determination took him to a level no one thought was possible. From being overlooked to becoming the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics, how did he turn a hopeless situation into a career full of amazing moments? This is the story of how the last pick in the 2011 NBA draft became one of the most popular stars in the game. Isaiah Thomas's life began on February 7, 1989, in Tacoma, Washington. His dad, a Laker fan, named him after Isaiah Thomas, a Hall of Famer for the Detroit Pistons, because he and a friend had a bet, which the elder Thomas lost, between the NBA Finals series between Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers over the name of his expecting son, Isaiah. His mother insisted on the biblical spelling of Isaiah, giving the child a name linked to greatness in basketball. As a small guard, Isaiah seemed destined to leave his mark on the game. Growing up in Tacoma, a city south of Seattle, with a strong art scene and a unique smell, Isaiah found competition and inspiration in local players from the Seattle-Tacoma area and community leagues. His close-knit family, led by his father, helped him see his potential, despite being smaller than his peers. From a young age, it was clear that Isaiah had a special talent, but many people didn't believe he could succeed because he was short in a sport where big men dominated. Isaiah put everything he had into the game to show his doubters they were wrong. Facing players much taller than him helped him develop an explosive style based on agility, quickness, and creativity. He was good at getting past defenders and finding ways to score against the odds, which was a sign of things to come in his career. Isaiah's hard work paid off in high school, where he became a star player at Curtis High School and set records across Washington State, where he averaged 31.2 points a game as a junior. College scouts hesitated to recruit him, but it wasn't because of his height or shooting skills. It was more about his grades. Thomas got a scholarship to the University of Washington, but he had to work on his grades to go. Isaiah transferred to South Kent Prep School in Connecticut to keep his NBA dream alive, but Isaiah's drive never wavered. After averaging 17.7 points per game, he quickly reaffirmed his commitment to the University of Washington, where he started his career as a four-star recruit and the 92nd ranked prospect in his class on Rivals. Isaiah became a leader and star at Washington. He brought back the winning feeling to Montlake after getting permission from former Washington Huskies star Nate Robinson to wear his number 2 jersey. Isaiah showed how good he was at scoring early in his freshman year. On December 30th, 2008, he scored 27 points in a home win over Morgan State that ended 81-67. As a true freshman, Thomas averaged 15.5 points, 2.6 assists, and 3.0 rebounds per game, and was named Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. He also helped lead the Huskies to an NCAA tournament spot. In his sophomore year, Isaiah was given full control of the team. His ability to make plays was shown in an early season game against the strong New Mexico Lobos. Isaiah showed off his entire game in a close 83-81 win over New Mexico. He could get to the basket, shoot from deep, and get his teammates involved. Isaiah scored key baskets in the last few minutes to secure the win against a tough Lobos team. He finished the game with 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Thomas got to 16.9 points, 3.2 assists, and 3.9 rebounds per game as a sophomore, and he was named to his first All-Pac-10 first team while also leading his team to the Sweet 16 before losing to West Virginia. In Thomas's junior year, things really started to click. Several games showed how dangerous he could be in the NBA. On December 31, 2010, against Pac-10 rival UCLA, Isaiah almost had a triple-double and controlled the game on both ends of the court. His versatility and energy set the tone for the Huskies' strong start to the Pac-10 season. Thomas finished with 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in a sound win. After a little over a month, he scored 27 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds against Oregon State, the highest scoring game of his career. He put on a scoring clinic, destroying Oregon State's defense with his drives and jump shots. This game showed how he could take over the offense when needed, and he was named first team All-Pac-10 again in his junior year. The Washington Huskies were competing with the California Bears for first place in the Pac-10 at the end of the year. In the semifinals of the Pac-10 tournament, Isaiah's double-double of 21 points, 11 assists, and 5 rebounds against Cal put Washington in the Pac-10 championship game against Arizona.
Thomas, shake, crossover, step back, at the buzzer, Young, safe, and Washington.
His court vision and ability to take over in crunch time were clear as he led the offense and took advantage of defensive mismatches. On March 12, 2011, Thomas scored 28 points, had 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. He also made a buzzer-beating shot in overtime to win the Pac-10 tournament championship game for Washington over Arizona. This game, which became known as the cold-blooded shot by announcer Gus Johnson, cemented his reputation as a clutch player. He controlled the pace, pounded the defense hard, and led Washington to their second straight conference tournament title. Washington would once again make the NCAA tournament, but lose in the round of 32 to North Carolina. He was in the running for the Bob Cousy Award in his junior year. A few weeks later, on March 31st, Thomas entered the NBA draft, giving up his last year of college eligibility. Averaging 16.8 points and 6.1 assists by his junior year showed that he was a good scorer and playmaker. On draft day in 2011, Isaiah still had doubts about his height. He watched as pick after pick went by without being called. Finally, the Sacramento Kings picked him with the 60th and final draft pick. To most, it was just another late-round gamble, but to Isaiah, it was a chance to show that his height wouldn't stop him. It was his dream to be drafted. People in Sacramento loved Isaiah right away. He refused to be just another rookie, and he quickly became known for his relentless drives to the basket, ball-handling skills, and fierce competitiveness. In his rookie season, he averaged 11.5 points and 4.1 assists, and he was named Western Conference Rookie of the Month in February. By his third season, he averaged over 20 points per game, showing he was a force to be reckoned with on the court. Fans loved Isaiah, and he quickly became one of the team's most exciting players. Even though the Kings had trouble as a whole, Isaiah's drive and high-scoring games won them over, and his highlight plays were often the talk of the town. After 3 years with the Kings, Isaiah was traded to the Phoenix Suns. His time in Phoenix was short, but he continued to show how good he was at scoring, averaging 15.2 points per game and showing he could be consistent in any system. He was an offensive threat every time he stepped on the court, and fans and opponents alike came to respect him more. But Isaiah was about to start a new chapter in his life that would define his career and make him an NBA star. On February 19, 2015, when Isaiah was traded to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Marcus Thornton and a 2016 first-round pick, his career took a big turn for the better. From his first few games, it was clear he had found his place. The city of Boston, which loves underdog stories, quickly took to him. With the Celtics, Isaiah became the team's go-to scorer, leading the team and putting on inspiring games that inspired his teammates and fans. During his time with the Celtics, Thomas became a star, a fan favorite, and an elite crunch-time scorer. Thomas debuted for the Celtics in a 118-111 overtime loss to the Los Angeles Lakers, but he got right to making his impact quickly. On March 2, 2015, he was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week for games played Monday, February 23, 2015, through Sunday, March 1, 2015. Thomas missed 8 games in March with a bruised lower back. On April 8th, he scored 34 points in a 113-103 win over the Detroit Pistons. Thomas then won Eastern Conference Player of the Week for games played Monday, April 6, 2015, through Sunday, April 12th. In his first career playoff game that same season, he scored 22 points and had 10 assists in a first-round loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Celtics lost the series in 4 games, with Thomas averaging 17.5 points and 7.0 assists off the bench. Because of his role as a sixth man with both Phoenix and Boston in 2014-15, he came in second place in the voting for the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award. Isaiah had 16.4 points, 4.2 assists, and 2.3 boards for both teams at the end of the season. In his first full season with Boston 2015-16, he averaged 22 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds per game, helping the team make the playoffs and proving himself as a key player. Isaiah also scored a career-high 38 points in a 119-116 loss to the Detroit Pistons. Thomas, an Eastern Conference All-Star reserve for the 2016 NBA All-Star Game. He was the lowest draft pick to be named an All-Star since the NBA draft was cut to 2 rounds in 1989, and he tied Calvin Murphy as the shortest player to be chosen for the All-Star Game. On February 8, 2016, Thomas was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week for games played from February 1-7, 2016. In the first round of the 2016 playoffs, the Celtics were down 2-0 to the Atlanta Hawks. In Game 3 in Boston, Thomas scored 42 points, which was the high point of his career, and helped the Celtics win 111-103. He was only the 9th Celtic player to score 40 points in a playoff game. In Game 4, Thomas scored 28 points and helped the Celtics tie the series at 2-2 with a 104-95 overtime win. However, the Celtics lost the series in 6 games. Thomas scored 20 or more points in 20 of the first 21 games of the 2016-2017 season. He was injured in a December 5, 2016 game against the Houston Rockets and received a platelet-rich plasma injection. After returning from a 4-game absence for what the Celtics described as a groin strain, Thomas continued to put up big numbers. On December 20th, he scored a then-career-high 44 points in a 112-109 overtime victory over the Memphis Grizzlies. He also matched his career best for 3-pointers, going 7 of 10 from outside the arc. Thomas earned Eastern Conference Player of the Week honors from December 19th through December 25th. On December 30th, against the Miami Heat, he scored 29 of his career-high 52 points in the fourth quarter, setting a franchise record for points in a period and leading Boston to a 117-114 victory. Thomas's 52 points was the fourth highest scoring total in Celtics history.
It's the fourth highest scoring output of any Celtic in franchise history. MVP chants broke out. What does that mean to you?
A blessing from God.
Larry Bird holds the record, having scored 60 points in a March 1985 game. On January 3, 2017, Thomas recorded 29 points and a career-high 15 assists in a 115-104 victory over the Utah Jazz. On January 26, 2017, Thomas was named an Eastern Conference All-Star reserve for the 2017 NBA All-Star Game. He averaged 32.9 points in January, marking the third highest monthly average in team history. On February 2nd, Thomas was named Eastern Conference Player of the Month for January. He led the NBA in scoring, 32.9 ppg, and tied for fifth in the East in assists, 6.9 assists per game for the month, as the Celtics went 10-4 to take over first place in the Atlantic Division. On February 15th, Thomas scored 33 points in a 116-108 win over the Philadelphia 76ers. It was his 40th straight 20-point game, tying a team record set by John Havlicek during the 1971-72 season. The following day, Thomas broke Havlicek's team record with a 41st straight 20-point game. He scored 29 points in a 104-103 loss to the Chicago Bulls. With 19 points against the Atlanta Hawks on February 27th, Thomas's franchise record streak of consecutive 20-point games ended at 43. It was only the second time during the season that he did not score at least 20 points in a game. Thomas was injured in a March 15, 2017 game against the Minnesota Timberwolves and missed the following 2 games. He became only the 6th Celtic ever to score 2,000 points in a single season. Thomas extended his streak with at least one three-pointer to a franchise-best 50 straight games. Behind his leadership, the Celtics finished the 2016-2017 season as the top seed in the Eastern Conference. The team's record was 53-29. Thomas finished the regular season as the third leading scorer in the NBA, averaging 28.9 points per game. He ranked third in the league, behind only Russell Westbrook and James Harden. But it wasn't just his scoring, but his ability to take over games when it mattered most. Isaiah earned the nickname King in the Fourth for his clutch performances in the final quarter, averaging a league-high 9.8 points in the fourth quarter alone. He had an uncanny ability to rise to the occasion, hitting game-winning shots, fearless drives, and incredible step-back jumpers that left defenders guessing. Thomas led the Celtics to a 6-game win over the Chicago Bulls in the 2017 playoffs. The day before the series started, Thomas learned that his younger sister China had died in a car accident. After the Celtics beat the Bulls, Thomas flew across the country to attend his sister's funeral. He then returned to Boston for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals and helped the Celtics beat the Washington Wizards 123-111. According to ESPN, during Game 1, Thomas lost a front tooth after Otto Porter elbowed him, and he had to have surgery to replace it and fix 2 other shifted teeth. Even though his teeth were hurt, he played and scored 33 points and had 9 assists in the win. The next day, in Game 2, Thomas scored 53 points, which was the second highest total in Celtics playoff history. He helped Boston win 129-119 overtime and take a 2-0 lead in the series. He was only the 5th Celtic to score 50 or more points in a playoff game, 1 point short of John Havlicek's team record. It was one of the most important games of Isaiah's season when he scored 53 points against the Washington Wizards, which is a Celtics playoff record. This performance was even more impressive, considering Isaiah had just lost his sister. Despite this, he led his team to victory and became a source of hope and inspiration for fans worldwide. His dedication and heart on the court were a testament to his character, and that night's performance will forever be remembered. In Game 7, Thomas scored 29 points and had 12 assists to help the Celtics beat the Blazers 115-105. His injury limited his play with the Cavaliers, and he struggled to return to his old form with the Lakers, Nuggets, Wizards, and Phoenix Suns. However, Isaiah's strength and determination to fight through hardships stayed strong. He kept working hard, always hoping for another chance to show that he could still compete at the highest level. Thomas was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers on August 20, 2017, along with Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the Brooklyn Nets' unprotected 2018 first-round draft pick.
Danny called me. I missed his call. When I got back to Seattle, I missed his call. Broke it to me. He's like, well, IT, I just traded you. That's crazy.
However, during the post-trade physical examination by Cleveland staff, concerns were raised about the health of Thomas's previously injured right hip. In September 2017, it was reported by theathletic.com that Thomas had been playing with a number of secondary problems in his right hip, such as a loss of cartilage and some arthritis, for several seasons. Thomas chose to rehab his hip instead of surgery because he thought that the long recovery time would make teams less likely to offer him big contracts when he became a free agent. An injury to Thomas's right hip made him unable to play up to his standard and hurt his NBA career. He couldn't play for the Cavaliers again until January 2018, and when he did, he couldn't do as well as he had in previous seasons. Even though Thomas was battling injuries, he scored 17 points in 19 minutes off the bench in a 127-110 win over the Portland Trail Blazers. The next day, Thomas returned to TD Garden and got a standing ovation from the Celtics fans, even though he didn't play in the Cavaliers' 102-88 loss to them. On January 6th, he had 19 points and 4 assists in his second appearance and first start of the season in a 131-127 win over the Orlando Magic. On January 20th, he scored a season-high 24 points in a 148-124 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. He averaged 14.7 points per game for the Cavaliers while shooting 36.1%. After being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, Thomas scored 22 points off the bench in a 130-123 loss against the Dallas Mavericks. Then, he scored a season-high 29 points in a 131-113 win over the Miami Heat. Then on March 29th, Thomas was ruled out for the rest of the season after having arthroscopic surgery on his right hip. He played in 17 games for the Lakers and averaged 15.6 points per game while shooting 38.3%.
Scored in this quarter, 13-2. Thomas lobbing for Randall, puts it in.
Thomas was chosen for the 35-player 2018-20 USA Men's National Team roster that summer. He attended the team's Las Vegas minicamp in July 2018. In February 2021, he was chosen for the 14-player roster for the final round of the 2022 FIBA AmeriCup qualifiers. On February 19th, in his first game in over a year, he scored 19 points in a 93-77 win over Bahamas. The next day, he scored 9 points in a 96-75 win over Mexico. As a veteran, Thomas signed a $2 million one-year deal with the Denver Nuggets on July 16, 2018. After recovering from hip surgery, Thomas played his first game for the Nuggets on February 13, 2019. He scored all 8 of his points in the third quarter of Denver's 120-118 win over the Sacramento Kings. It was his first game since March 22, 2018. In the 12 games Thomas played for Denver, he averaged 8.1 points per game on 34.3% shooting. Thomas joined the Washington Wizards on July 10, 2019. He hurt his left thumb on September 16th and had surgery 2 days later. On December 22nd, Thomas was suspended for 2 games without pay for going into the stands during a game. In 40 games with the Wizards, he scored 12.2 points per game on 40.8% shooting and 41.3% shooting from three-point range. As a trade deadline move, the Los Angeles Clippers got Thomas on February 6, 2020. However, the next day, he was waived. During the COVID-19 pandemic, on May 6, 2020, Thomas had surgery to resurface his right hip.
Isaiah Thomas will have surgery on his right hip.
According to ESPN, Thomas's hip was bone on bone. The pain was constant, and he constantly lost his balance because he leaned to the right. In October 2020, Thomas said, "It's like night and day for me. There is no more pain. I can move all the way around. I tried to play the best players in the world on one leg for 3 years. My kids had to help me put on my socks in the morning."
I'm feeling better each and every day. I mean, I'm doing a little more. I started rehab. So the surgery was a success, and I'm happy about it. And
Next, Thomas signed a 10-day deal with the New Orleans Pelicans on April 3, 2021. He played in 3 games for the Pelicans and scored 7.7 points per game on average. After New Orleans, Thomas signed with the NBA G League's Grand Rapids Gold on December 13, 2021. His first game with the team was on December 15th, when they lost 131-127 to the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. In 42 minutes, he scored 42 points, had 8 assists, and grabbed 6 boards.
Thomas, too easy.
Thomas signed a 10-day deal with the Los Angeles Lakers on December 17, 2021, to play for the team again after being given a hardship exception. In his first game of the season, a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, he scored 19 points in 22 minutes. He played in 4 games for the Lakers. Thomas agreed to play for the Dallas Mavericks for 10 days on December 29, 2021. He only played in 1 game for the Mavericks. Continuing his career, the Grand Rapids Gold signed Thomas again on February 14, 2022. He played in 3 games for them and scored 41.3 points per game. Thomas signed a 10-day deal with the Charlotte Hornets on March 2, 2022. 10 days later, he signed another 10-day deal. On March 22, he was signed for the rest of the season.
I'm just thankful. You know, I've been preparing for these moments. I've been working for these moments to...
In 17 games with the Hornets, he averaged 8.3 points per game and shot 43.3% overall and 39.7% from three-point range. Sitting out during the 2022-23, but with interest in returning, Thomas joined the Salt Lake City Stars on March 6, 2024. In his first game, he made 7 of 23 shots from the field and scored 32 points with 4 assists. Over the next 4 games, he averaged 32.5 points and 5.3 assists per game. This got him called back up to the association. Thomas signed a 10-day deal with the Phoenix Suns on March 20, 2024. Later that same day, he played in his first NBA game in almost 2 years against the Philadelphia 76ers and had 1 assist in 2 minutes. On March 30, 2024, Thomas signed a second 10-day deal with the Suns, and on April 9, 2024, he signed with the Suns for the rest of the season. More than just his stats, Isaiah Thomas changed the game of basketball. For many undersized players, he symbolizes hope and a reminder that heart and grit can get you past almost any physical limitation. His success showed that you don't have to be tall to dominate on the court, and his unwavering spirit inspired players of all heights and skill levels. Young players across the country look up to Isaiah, modeling his drive and passion after the way he broke down barriers for smaller players in the NBA.
Fight a little guy.
Thomas contested 3. Oh, my.
From being named to 2 All-Star teams to being named an All-NBA player, Isaiah did things not many thought possible. He became one of the most famous underdog stories in NBA history. Fans and analysts admire Isaiah's fearless approach to the game and his dedication to giving it his all, no matter what. He's often called one of the league's most beloved players, a title he earned with his skills and heart. As a player who defied the odds, his story will live on as long as Isaiah plays. From being the 60th pick in the draft to becoming an all-star, Isaiah Thomas's journey is a story of unwavering determination. Even as he faces new challenges, his journey serves as a reminder of what can be accomplished with hard work, heart, and a strong belief in oneself. Isaiah's heroics in the fourth quarter, his leadership, and his connection with fans have left an indelible mark on NBA history. His story shows that playing the game how you want can change the odds for good. But Isaiah Thomas isn't the only player who went against the odds. What if I told you about someone who sold watches and DVDs on the street and became one of the best NBA players ever? Click here to see the story.